Hi, this is Eric. I'm going to be talking about a log viewer that I found that's great for Cisco log files and probably a lot of other kinds of log files. But I've found them especially useful for Cisco voice log files since there's so many different kinds of files and certain kinds of information show up in multiple kinds of files but not in others. So it's useful to be able to highlight certain keywords in one file that is also in another, etc., etc. I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to install Windtail, which I have it installed already. Change a couple settings here. I'm going to change the buffer size, which is how much text it will display. Turn that off so that it's unlimited. So we're going to open a file, sample log file here. These are some CVP logs that have SIP messages in them. Actually, I think this is a SIP proxy log, so you've got a lot of SIP messages. You'll see they're very confusing. They have a lot of information. Nothing really stands out other than these timestamps. The key pieces of information on these kind of logs are call ID, which is this right here, our person's phone number. All this information has been sanitized, so these phone numbers don't work, so don't bother trying to call them. Well, they may work, but they don't go whoever this person actually was. First thing I'm going to do is demonstrate how you can highlight certain things. So say I wanted to highlight this here. Do Control-C, create a new filter for it. I'm going to enable this filter. I'm going to make the background color yellow. And this is what it's going to appear. Okay, there, now we have wherever that is, it shows up in yellow. And if I open a different log file, then those messages show up yellow there too. One of the really cool features is you can export these highlight filter rules, and you can import them. And you can import more than one of them, and they add together, so they're not mutually exclusive. What that means is you can build up a library of interesting messages. So I'm going to import my highlight filters. Here you can see I have a whole bunch of pre-created ones, certain events that I like to see that are good events, like informational events, error events, other kinds of errors, and really bad errors. Basically, you come up with your own scheme. But now that I have all of these imported, there you can see that anytime I receive a UDP packet, I'm going to color that light green because that's interesting. These particular messages repeat as the program processes the messages. So you'll see like multiple copies of the same message. So by picking a unique keyword to when the packet originally arrives, I only see the messages. Blue means that I'm sending UDP packet. Green means I'm receiving UDP packet. Another cool feature of this program is that you can use regular expressions to color code certain keywords. Here I have cause equal to anything other than 0 or 16 will be an error because 0 and 16 are normal messages. So I can show you what this regular expression looks like. So this is kind of complicated. It takes a while to learn how to write a regular expression, but this right here will be cause equals anything but 0 and 16. So all error messages show up very clearly. Now let's say I want to follow this phone number here. Where did he go? This guy right here. I want to see everywhere that phone number shows up. Control-C, highlight filter. I like to use the same color for the same kinds of information all the time. That way I don't have to look for the phone number and see what's highlighted. I just know blue is the Annie. Blue is the calling party number that I'm interested in. So I don't even have to read it. Just look at the colors. So now anywhere I see blue, I these phone numbers showing up. Of course, the call ID is going to be unique to this call too, so I want to color that. And there you go. Now all those are colored. Now the thing is, when you have a whole bunch of calls happening at the same time, who knows where your call is? Like, it could be 1,000 lines down. So you have this highlight next feature and highlight next highlighted, or select next highlighted item and previous highlighted item. So this allows you to jump from colored message to colored message, all of the messages that you've individually colored. It will not jump to messages that have show as selected or have highlight entire line selected, because I like to have error messages and informational messages have the entire line highlighted, but I don't want to stop on every single error message because the error message may not be related to the messages that I'm reading, like the particular call. So here you see I've clicked on next and it went to here. My next one will go down to here. It's going to skip the entire line of the error message. So that way error messages stand out but don't mess your feature up here of following your particular call. A really cool feature is the ability to replace text. So say I can't remember what this IP address is. Like, I look it up and it's a gateway. I can create a new rule. Anytime this message shows up, I want to show it as gateway 1 or whatever. There. Now anywhere that text shows up, I see it as the IP address and gateway 1 in parentheses. Another great thing is, since you can import and export these rules, I'm going to remove them all, show you a batch file that I've written. So here's my hosts file where I've got a host name, space, IP address, or tab, whatever. But you create a text file that has all of your host names and IP addresses, which is pretty easy to do usually. Drag it onto this import.bat file. Input file, host, output file is going to be host.text.ini. Shows you the IP address and the name that it's converting it to. Basically what this is creating is it's creating a Windtail ini file that will replace all of the IP addresses with host names. So now, the caveat is you need to open that, you need to import that first. So we need to import our host conversion before we import our highlight filters. So there's all of our host files. Now we're going to import highlight filters. Now I've got both of those. Hit OK. Open our log file. And you'll see that every IP address has been resolved to its actual name. So normally you would do that beforehand. Alright. One more cool feature of Windtail is its ability to integrate with Windows grep. Windows grep is a program that will find strings in text files recursively. So in Call Manager logs, you've got hundreds of logs, dozens and dozens of folders. So we're going to do a search. We're going to search for this phone number in this entire directory. Now Windows grep has found all of the occurrences. Every single one of these is a copy, but that's why it keeps finding the same thing. I can show all of the results. And when I click on one of the things that it found, Windtail will take me to that line that item is at. So here you see it jumped straight to this Annie. I can colorize this one too. Maybe I don't want it to be blue, maybe I want it to be green. Enable it. Go back to Windows grep and click on another line, first invite, and it jumps straight to that invite. Now say I want to find all of the SIP invites just so I can get an overview of which calls I'm seeing. Windtail has the filter feature too. So I'm going to create a new filter, call it invite, enable it, and I see all of the invites. So now I can see which messages have shown up. Turn that off. Say I want to find all of the received UDP packets for whatever reason. So there's an example. You can add that too. See both of them. You can use hold control down and the mouse wheel will scroll left and right, otherwise it scrolls up and down. Control Shift I turns off the filter. So say down here I've got my cos equals 100. I could build a library if I wanted to of error messages more specific. So I'm going to click on whatever you have selected, whatever color you have of the item you have selected. When you hit new, that's what it'll default to. So it's like a quick way to create colors that are matches that are the same color. So I'm going to do a show as and create an explanation for this. Like last time I troubleshooted this, the reason was it was dropping UDP packets and the gateway was having an exception. So now that I know one of the reasons that happens, I can create a rule for it so that I know what to look for. And now as you see, anytime cos equals 100 shows up, I get an explanation for the error too. You can create a library of these and keep saving your library. You can save it on a shared drive and pool it with other employees. And you can save this as an HTML file that preserves all the coloring. If you want to send it to someone pre-colored, you can do that. You've got an individual find and find next and find previous. This is separate than the find next and previous highlighted items. All of the filtering and coloring uses regular expressions. Here an IP address is. In order to not match this IP address, if it ended in .51, I don't want to match .51, so the /b is some kind of character break, a different kind of character, so it won't match two numbers in a row. You can always hit help on regular expressions to learn more about that. I think you saw me turn these two on earlier. If you don't have these turned on, the Find Next button will stop on everything that has a match in here. So like every error, every keyword, everything that has a replace text. I don't usually want to do that, so check all of those. If you want your full lines to show up even where there's empty space, like these gray bars now show up, like any kind of match will show up all the way across. That's what that option does.